Voiceover is everywhere, and you hear it every day. From radio
Number one for New Country 96.3 Hawkeye in the morning.
to TV
My name is Lady Whistledown. You do not know me, but I know you.
to movies.
My name is Optimus Prime. Autobots, roll out!
To animation
I am vengeance. I am the knight. I am Batman.
and so much more. Welcome to episode 10.
Welcome to Who Did That Voice, the show where we take an in-depth look at the world of voiceover, including movies, TV, animation, and more. And now, here's your host, Trenton Larkin.
The year is 1999. You just got home from school and turned on TRL. Carson Daly's taking you from Blink-182 and the Chili Peppers to Britney and Christina. You're loving every minute of it. You've seen dead people for the first time. Every question you ask is immediately followed up with, "Is that your final answer?" This is the coolest gift anyone has ever gotten. You're thinking the world is going to end at midnight on New Year's. And thanks to Stifler's mom, you just learned what a MILF is. Life is good.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Who Did That Voice. Today on the show, I am excited to be bringing you an interview with Brady LaRock. Brady, how are you doing today, man?
Oh, I am doing good. It's been a good day so far. How about yourself?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. So, Brady, the very first thing we like to do when we dive into getting to know somebody on the show, especially for the first time, is to get to know them. So tell me about little Brady, the boy that grew into the man he is today, and how did he get into PA announcing and voice acting?
Well, really, it all stems from my dad. He was, like I said, he was in radio for over 30 years.
That's amazing.
And so I grew up with him. I grew up with me working next to him as a young kid. I was really lucky to have him really take me everywhere. So my first, from the time I could walk or even before then, he would bring me in the booth with him when he was on the radio. He would take me to his live radio remotes. He would have me be on the air with him and talk and all kinds of stuff. And then he was always, a PA announcer for different racetracks and different sporting events and sporting teams. He was actually, before he passed in 2019, he was the PA announcer for the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, wow. I'm sorry to hear he passed, but that sounds pretty amazing, getting to PA announce for the Cowboys. Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. So he was really my biggest teacher and influence. And, before growing up in middle school and in high school, when he was a PA announcer, there was a team here in Dallas, the Dallas Desperados, old arena football team. He was the PA announcer there, and I would be his spotter. So I would sit next to him and point. So a play would happen, and I would have the team's rosters there, and I would be pointing here and saying that this guy made the catch, and then this guy in this team made the tackle. So then he can make the announcement saying, hey, this pass caught by this person, tackled by this guy. So I was right there next to him that whole time.
That's awesome.
And and so when I got into PA announcing, it was after he passed away. That was the first time I auditioned for SMU, and I got the job, but it was all from zero experience of me doing it, but just all experience of me watching him for my entire life. So that's how I got into all of that, and then how I started in my radio career right out of high school, all because of him.
Wow. That's pretty amazing that he was such an inspiration to you in the career path that you ended up choosing and following.
Yeah. Yeah. He told me, I remember vividly in middle school and high school, as I got older, he would tell me all the time, don't get into radio. Just don't get into radio. And I graduated high school and didn't know what I wanted to do. So then I got my first job in radio. And then he was secretly proud, and then we got to work together a few times. But he was really excited after a while, seeing where the career path I was going. And so he was definitely the biggest influence and really what showed me the world of getting paid to use your voice in many different ways.
That's amazing, Brady. I'm really glad that you had such a cool influence in your life that it was so close to you, being your father, and that, he was able to inspire you into a career he told you not to go into and you pursued anyway.
Yep.
I love it. So as far as your father kind of being an inspiration, have you actually taken acting classes to kind of help perfect some of that stuff, or has it just kind of been a natural talent? Or
I have not taken any classes. That's been the thing now that I know that I need to do, because there's a lot of things that I don't do well. I definitely have weaknesses when it comes to being, a voice actor, voiceover artist, and it's because of my background in radio and in announcing. It's easier for me to do those kinds of things where I'll have someone will pay me to do just like a corporate voiceover for their business, and they want it to be relaxed and just young and just a refreshing read, and then I'll read it and send it to them, and they'll come back and say, that sounded a little too much like a radio commercial. Could you give me another take on that? So there's a lot of stuff that I need to work on, and I do want to get coaching on, and to kind of take me to that next level. But
yeah,
it's all been, on the job experience and how I've honed my craft so far, in radio and announcing and building it to what it is now. But yeah, so that's definitely to come, because even, someone with 10 plus years of talking for a living, there's still a lot of things that I don't know that I need help with and need to learn for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally understand that. When I started this podcast, it was partly because I was an enthusiast and partly because I wanted to get into voiceover. And aside from doing my podcast, I really haven't done anything in the voiceover industry. But the one thing I've learned through doing this show is that acting is very critical. Growing up, I used to always mess around with voices and do the announcer voice and stuff. And you very much start getting around these other VO talents and realizing that it is good. It can help you get in the door, and everyone's path is totally different, but they sometimes shy you away from, okay, don't be so announcer guy, they kind of get you to where they're trying to, open you up and have you kind of try some different things and be different people in different tempos. And I always thought it was more like being a radio DJ to be a voice actor. And I learned it's totally different, but there's so many similarities at the same time, so.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely been the biggest learning curve that I have, is just to sound more natural and really, I think relaxed is what it is. I feel like I get in the booth normally and I can just read a 30-second commercial and it could be perfect, and I've got it on time and it's hit 29.5 seconds on the dot, but then it sounds a little too rehearsed and robotic, and just need to relax a little bit.
Totally get it, man. I totally do. As far as your dad announcing for the Dallas Cowboys, how long did he do that, and how did he get in with the team? Did he know Jerry Jones, or?
No, so he has a great story on how he got into that. So we moved around a lot growing up, because he was in radio, and we moved to Dallas in 2001, and we got a job, or he got a job selling radio for a sports station here, The Ticket, and he was selling ads there. And my dad, they called him, everyone at The Ticket, they call him Pipes. Because he had the voice, and he really did. And so how he got in with the Cowboys was, we moved here, and he found out whoever the person in charge of game day events was and putting the whole production together. He found out who they were, and he called them, and he left them a voicemail saying that he just got to Dallas and he'd be interested in working with them in some capacity. And they listened to his voice on the voicemail, and they immediately called him back and told him to come down to the stadium, and they want to talk to him. And,
wow.
So he did have the pipes to do that. That's the one thing. I don't quite have the voice that my dad did, so there's other things that I have to do to compensate and try to be better at when I do, relax or read in a certain way. But he definitely had that, and that was a pretty cool story when he got hired by them, and then once he got hired by them, that's how he was the announcer for the Dallas Desperados as well, which were owned by the Cowboys. And so he did that since 2001. He took about a year or two off when he moved to Colorado for a while, but he also lived in Minnesota for a few years, and he would fly back for home games. They still paid him enough to fly into town and still be the announcer from, even though he lived hundreds of miles away. So he was the man that they wanted.
Oh, that's awesome. What a great story.
Yeah.
So Brady, thank you so much for diving into that. It sounds like your dad had a pretty amazing set of lungs and a great voice. He sounds like a pretty amazing guy. I wish I could have met him.
Yeah, absolutely. He was the best, and hopefully, as I get older, I think that'll help me too. And my voice will get a little bit deeper every year, and one day I'll sound a little bit closer to his vocal range.
That's awesome. How long did he voice or PA announce for the Cowboys?
So it was, I think, a total of around close to 15 years.
Wow.
So he was there, like I said, 01, and then he left for a few years between there, but then came back 2012, I think, 13.
Okay.
And was there up until he passed in 2019. So
wow. And was
2 different 7-year stints.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I was going to say we moved to Little Elm in 2003, and that was moving from Missouri. I was born and raised in Texas, but we'd moved away for a little bit, and then I came back for my junior year of high school. And so we were here from 2003 till 2015 when I got married and moved away. So I more than likely heard your dad on a regular basis.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So that's pretty cool.
If anyone ever went to any Cowboys games, he was definitely there. And that's been fun too. I posted a TikTok about him back in January.
Okay.
And that was back when I had 0 following, and that video went viral, and had some cool people, like some old cheerleaders and old people that worked with him in other markets on the radio reach out. And so yeah, he definitely had a big influence. He had a big personality, and then having the opportunity to work with the Cowboys for as long as he did, he knew a lot of cool people, and so he had a big influence on a lot of people around Dallas.
That's awesome. That's really, really cool. Well, Brady, kind of gearing back towards you, thank you for sharing about your dad. That's pretty freaking cool, man. Some cool stories, but you have a series on TikTok that I stumbled across. I don't know what you exactly call it. I've called it Covering the Years, but what do you call that series exactly?
Well, I should really make it official because I have the playlist on there just set as the years.
Okay.
I call it the Life is Good series.
Okay. The Life is Good series. And tell us a little bit about that and what it is that I stumbled across and we connected over.
Yeah. So it's actually funny because it was one of the things I was starting to get some traction doing voice work on TikTok. But this is really what's brought me to the next level, is this series and it's the series that almost didn't happen, that almost never was.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So it all started with a guy, his name is One Ray Music. He's a guitar player on TikTok. And I decided I wanted a duet with him because, I don't know, he did a cover of Shine by Collective Soul.
Okay.
This is cool. I got to do something with this. So a week went by. I didn't know what to do. And I saw it, so I was going to let me look at what year this song came out. And it was 93. So I did a duet. I was like, I'm just going to see what happened in 93 and talk a little bit about it. And I got some pictures, and I was talking about things like the Cowboys won the Super Bowl, ironically. Bill Clinton was the president. Home Improvement was on TV. But I had pictures behind me, not videos or anything. And
yeah.
So I posted it, and nobody liked it. They didn't care about it. Nobody watched it or commented or anything. It just died. But I liked it. That was really for me. And so I did it. And then finally, like a week later, someone commented on it and was like, hey, can you do 2004? And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do 2004 because this was fun. So I did it, and when you duet, like I said, with that guy, I wanted to do more with him, but when you duet, you can't use videos. It's only pictures.
Okay.
Like, up the ante here, and I want to do videos. Let's make this more fun and more lively. So I was like, I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to do video clips this time. I put it all together, and I posted it. And I was like, whatever. If it gets 2,000 views, it'll be great. I posted it later on at night. I woke up in the morning and it was over 150,000 views.
Holy cow.
And I know. And I was like, I don't even know what happened. I literally, if that one person, whoever that was, didn't comment and ask me to do 2004 out of nowhere, this series would have never happened and taken off like it was.
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah. So I'm grateful. I got to go back and find that person and send him a message or mail him a gift or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been incredible. And that's really how it started, was just that one video of I did not knowing what to do. So I looked and saw it was 93, and it was really just that. And then with that, once people started asking for more years, and it's just kind of developed to what it is now. And really just, I don't know, just the simple word of nostalgia, I guess.
Yeah.
Just reminiscing over forgotten memories and random shows and music and all kinds of stuff has really had grown a pretty cool following around this now, and it's been a lot of fun making them, for sure.
Well, it's pretty amazing. I was like, wow, this is super cool. I'm a big nostalgia nerd and, just history buff. And so like when you start talking about a year, you're going, wow, that all came out that year. Like, it starts getting your brain going and, oh, I remember that, or, oh, I didn't know that, or, and it's kind of funny, aside from your videos stumbling across them on TikTok, I actually realized you're my first connection on TikTok that I've connected with and had on the show. So it's like TikTok has been such a crazy thing. I hadn't joined it forever, and then I did, and I've learned more on it than I have ever in college or anything. It's crazy. So, and met some great people. So
yeah, absolutely. That is crazy. That's the fun thing about it is, meeting different people and seeing. It's really like its own world, its own community.
Yeah.
People, when you're on there, and I've posted videos and I posted content and stuff like on Instagram or whatnot, and people are like, oh, cool. But on TikTok, it's like, this is cool, and I'm going to share it with all of my friends, and I'm going to comment on it, and I want to be your friend, and just like, I don't know, it's just this whole world and community.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. It is.
In some ways, I feel like TikTok is what social media used to be, where it was more about discovery and learning new people. And, I feel like it's very like, if they're not your friend from high school 15, 20, 30 years ago, whatever it is, there's no connection between you and anyone else. It's like, if they're not suspected of being a friend, it's like you're not connectable. And on TikTok, anybody and everybody can find you and become a follower, friend, whatever, and I really do like the way TikTok is so open to allow everybody and anybody to meet and get to know someone new and something new and some new perspective potentially, so.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's part of it too, is that I think the people that are out there too, the bigger ones, with the huge followings, they're not afraid to be a part of the community too.
Yeah.
At least what I've come across, I've got some pretty cool followers, AKA friends now on TikTok, of people that I was following, and then they randomly came across my videos, and started following me. And like I said, we're friends on TikTok now, and it's just crazy that they're also engaging. And it really is like, even at the highest of levels. Like I've mentioned on my live videos I've done before, but like Party Shirt on TikTok follows me now.
Wow.
And it's the weirdest thing. They have 19 million followers.
Holy cow.
They like my content for whatever reason, and now we're friends, and I don't know, it's crazy how it works. And it's a lot of fun, and it's cool meeting people and engaging, and it's incredible. It really is.
That is fantastic. And the great thing is, when somebody big like that, who's got 19 million followers, follows you, they are bound to have people who follow them, who then look at who they're following, because it's not usually as many. They may have 19 million followers, but they follow like 20 people or something. And then if they look at that and go, oh, who's this Brady LaRock guy? And now they're going to follow him because they follow you too. So it's like, that's really cool, man. And that's networking and friendships. That's what the industry is all about, really, especially in voiceover. So that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I've sometimes too. I have to kick the thought out of my head, but I'll be sitting there like making a video, and I'm about to post it. I'm like, well, would Party Shirt like this video? Because they have 19 million followers, and this has to be really good, because now I have famous followers now. And there's a bunch of other people out there too that follow me that have less followers than them. But I think about them sometimes. Like, the pressure is on now. There's a lot of people following me, but the big people are liking this too, and it's weird. It's a
Yeah.
whole new feeling.
But you also have to realize that they love you for what you do. So don't change it just because you think about someone else and what they're going to think. Because you do that and the formula changes.
Yep, exactly. So yeah, it's all about being true. That's why I say I got to kick that thought out of my head.
Yeah.
And just stick with it and post it. And but it is a cool dynamic and interesting how it all works. And it is, like I said, it's fun. It's a crazy world, but it's the best.
It absolutely is, Brady. Well, I am so glad we were able to connect and get to chat. You know, TikTok brought us together. I've got a couple more questions for us, and we will wrap the interview up. This first one is, what was your favorite cartoon character growing up and why?
There's a lot. I think one of the best shows growing up as a kid, I think it feels weird saying it because it wasn't your traditional cartoon, like Saturday morning cartoon, but
Yeah.
The Simpsons was number one for me. I watched it every time I got home from school. It always seemed to be a rerun and then like back to back. And so it would definitely be Bart Simpson. And I wanted to be just as mischievous as he was, but I wasn't cool enough. And so I think that I'd have to say Bart because Nancy Cartwright is one of the greatest voice actresses that I've ever heard, and what she's able to do with Bart. And I don't know, that voice. If I could ever do a character that well, that would be a very top or high accomplishment that I look forward to in my career one day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not famous, but a job, being able to do a character, as well as that'd be great.
What kind of advice would you give to somebody who's looking at getting into the PA announcing world?
Oh, that's a great question. I think there's two things. Is one, I would say get your foot in the door with a sports team in any capacity as possible.
Okay.
Because just having that, just networking and knowing certain people, that's a huge part of being able to do that. Because you never know when an opening is going to be there. And if you know someone who can say, hey, I've got a guy or a girl who can do this. But for the aspect of actually announcing, find the smallest team possible. You might have to work for free for a little while, whatever, but maybe it's a middle school football team or a high school baseball team or whatever it may be. And they're always looking for somebody to be their PA announcer. And sometimes, like my brother did it. He doesn't have a great voice. He did it for he was a teacher at a high school, and they just needed somebody. And he was like, well, I guess I can just try to do it. And he did it for a season or two. But if you have, you never know if you want to get into that. You can just go to these schools and ask them and try to gain some experience. Really, that's where you kind of gain your experience, work on your voice, hone your craft. And then with the connections that you use in whatever other way you can get in with the sports team, when there's an opening after you've got that experience, then that's how you get it. So yeah, just kind of working up the ladder of networking and gaining that experience and practicing on the lower levels to get your way up to, the big major teams or college teams eventually.
That's awesome. I appreciate you giving that advice. Well, the last and final question I have for you today, Brady, is what is the legacy that you want to leave behind?
That's a good question. I think really I just want to make my kids proud in whatever that really means to them. Realizing what I do for a living and having, we talked about my dad being my biggest inspiration. And seeing him and his career and what he did, and he did some crazy things, and he always kept me a part of it and kept me involved. So really, my kids are my biggest focus, and making sure that what I do is really for them. So if whatever they would be proud of me for doing, that's really what I want to do. And there are some other accomplishments that I want to have out there, and things that I want to do with being a voice actor and everything like that. But really, if my kids will look at me and my career and what I'm able to do and be proud, then that'll make me happy.
That's pretty exciting. I've always been a big family person myself, so I admire you for being more about what your children will think about you and the life you've led and the legacy you're handing down to them, as opposed to the fame and fortune that you could have said you wanted your legacy to be. I really appreciate that and think that's a pretty awesome legacy, Brady.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
You're absolutely welcome. Well, Brady, it has been an absolute honor and pleasure having you on the show today. Would you please give us a special closeout as the sports announcer for the Dallas Cowboys?
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Brady LaRock on another episode with Trent Larkin on Who Did That Voice?
Hey everyone, and thanks so much for listening to today's episode of Who Did That Voice? If you enjoyed today's episode, please check us out online on all social media platforms at Who Did That Voice and on YouTube at Who Did That Voice 24. Also, remember to check out our website, whodidthatvoice.org. Again, that's www.whodidthatvoice.org. Thank you to all my listeners out there. I just wanted to say, if you want to partner with Who Did That Voice, just telling your friends and family about us is the best way to share the show with others, and or leaving us a review on Apple Podcast or wherever you get your podcast from. The third and final way is by joining our Patreon at patreon.com/Who Did That Voice.
Thank you for joining us today. We'll see you next time for more discoveries on Who Did That Voice.